Welcome to the Board Game Marketing Podcast. Let's cue the intro. This is the #1 podcast to learn marketing strategies for your board game. Whether you're just starting on your first game or an experienced designer, you've come to the right place. My name is Nalin, and let's talk marketing for your game. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Board Game Marketing Podcast. Today, we're really lucky to have Carla on the show, and I'm super excited for everything that she has to share with us today. So, Carla, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Amazing. Well, I would love it if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and also about, some projects that you've worked on so that we can kind of get into the nitty-gritty details about it.
For sure. So I'm kind of weird in the industry in that, I do a lot of different things. The first thing I do, of course, is Weird Giraffe Games. That's my main priority. It's a publishing company that I run, and I really, love it because it's, I get to make all the decisions and do everything that I want there. For that company, we've published games. Right now, we're just manufacturing Tumbletown, but in the past, we've worked on Fire in the Library, Big Easy Busking, and Dreams of Tomorrow. I also co-own Galactic Raptor Games, which has done Animal Kingdoms. And also, we just got done with the Kickstarter for Roar and Write, and we're getting ready to launch the next game in that series of the Kingdoms of Animals with Kingdoms of the Deep. I also run a weekly live show, which is the Game Design Live Chats, which run every Sunday at 2 p.m., where I get a guest and we talk about some topic. I run a playtesting community called the Weird Raptor Discord, where we playtest every Friday, and we have regular check-ins. And I also do contracting and consulting, so I specialize in solo design, and I've been doing some solo designs that are actually coming to Kickstarter this year, which is super exciting.
That's amazing. You have a lot going on for sure, and I'm a huge community around yourself too.
I mean, that's really a lot of it. It's just part of being in the community is also creating a community and providing positive things for other people. You could just be here making games, and that's fine, but if you're also helping out and showcasing other people and being a positive force in the industry, I think you'll do a lot better than you would otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I'm actually really curious, how did you kind of get to where you are today? How did you kind of fall into the board game space? How did you kind of get to, growing all these different activities that you do, the Sunday ones and the Friday check-ins and things like that?
So it started off with just Weird Giraffe Games, where I was doing that part-time. And then I got into a bad job situation that was affecting my health. So I was just like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to take a break for a bit. So I started really dedicating myself to Weird Giraffe Games after that, and that was about a year and a half ago. But about 2 years ago or so, I met up with Dan Letzring at, I believe it was Proto ATL, and we were both talking about how we'd love to do a few more games, work on something, if only we had somebody to work with. And we were talking, and we ended up creating Galactic Raptor Games after that meeting, where we ended up working really well together. So we made a company, and it started being really popular. And we're actually doing our second print run of Animal Kingdoms now, which is kind of crazy given that we met and started this whole thing 2 years ago, and we're already on our second print run for that. But a big part of me doing more than that was actually COVID, because I had all these plans and ideas and ways to reach out to people. I was going to a bunch of conventions, and when I say a bunch, I mean a lot of conventions. Usually each month would be 2 to 3 conventions, and I was traveling around and meeting people and like just making friends and showing off games and play testing. And it was so much fun and it was great. But then COVID happened and I just couldn't because, well, I mean, I try to be safe. I now no longer leave my house, where before I was not at my house for over half the time. So I had to do something to kind of uh, pivot with reality. Because, like, I mean, I could have been like, well, I guess I'll just leave my audience for a year and a half or a year or however long it takes, and I can get back to them when COVID is done. But I thought instead I wanted to do something so that I could still like reach people and interact and stuff like that. So that's when I started, I created a Discord, and that's the Weird Raptor Discord. And I'm not sure why we started doing live chats, but it's kind of morphed over the past couple months, like on what days and what we're doing. But people wanted to hear like about specific topics, so I would talk on the topic, or if they requested a topic that I didn't know about, I would get a guest. And at this point, I'm getting a guest every Sunday, and then we're doing an accountability check-in every Wednesday, which is kind of like a Scrum meeting if you are in the software like world. Where in software world, I came from, like, I used to be a software engineer. And every day at the beginning or end of the day, you would get together and talk about the things you accomplished, what you're planning on doing, and anything that you have like problems with, to try to identify problems fast and easy and like make sure that nobody is like spinning their wheels for like a week or two on something that's not going to work. So I brought that whole idea into board gaming, where that's what we do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. CDT in the Discord, is we all get together and we're like, hey, what's something cool you did? What did you learn? And let's try to fix all your problems. And I think that's been going pretty well, like in part because, well, like with COVID and everything and trying to figure out what life is now, like generally people aren't as happy as they were. So like just getting to like celebrate your wins with a group of people is really good from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, I love how you've pretty much pivoted into an online space really effectively. And you're not only doing that, but also taking in other people's kind of feedbacks and reaction and creating programs for people pretty much that they are kind of need during this time. You know, check-ins, celebrating wins, something like that is just really kind of like a morale boost for people. And just to be in a group doing that too, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I really like, I think one of my like big successes just as a person is that I'm very willing to acknowledge that I don't know everything. I don't. Like, I am not the perfect person, but just because, like, I am willing to be like, hey, how can I make this better? Like, what are your ideas? Tell me things and we'll try them. And they might not go well, but, like, we'll learn from the whole experience. Because I do that, like, I get to, like, get all these ideas super fast. We figure out what works and we just keep repeating what works and stop doing what doesn't. So it means a lot of progress in not that long of time. For instance, another thing that we started doing in the Discord is monthly pitch practices, because I was on the Gen Con Shark Tank panel where like there is, I believe, 10 designers, they pitched things and we gave feedback like on their games and their pitches and what they could do better. And like because so many designers are now pitching and like they never really had to do the online thing, like they have to figure out like how do cameras work, how do I show off my game in TTS, like how do I like tell someone about my game in 3 minutes without, you know, like boring them or confusing them. So I thought like just doing this once a month in my Discord, just get publishers to give feedback to new designers so that we can all like pivot in this whole like we can't pitch games at conventions anymore. This is the new normal, so let's get good at it.
I love that idea. Just like again, figuring out exactly what people need right now and offering that as a service to them. So it seemed like a really great transition into how you've been marketing all these games during the pre-launch stage and getting them out to people, especially during this new normal, as you said. Would you mind talking more about that?
Sure. So in the past, like a lot of designers, like you meet publishers at conventions, you can like get to know them better, get to know what their lines are and stuff, like by just walking up to their booth and talking, like when they don't have much going on. But we no longer have that. You can no longer just like drop off a prototype at somebody's booth. A lot of it is just trying to get somebody's attention because, well, I know like me as a publisher, I get so many emails. Like it's hard to like care too much about like any one designer that is just emailing me out of the blue with a sell sheet. Well, especially since there's a whole issue of sell sheets where like, so say that you're a great game designer. That does not mean you're good at all at making sell sheets. So you have to kind of have like these completely different skill sets to like appeal to a publisher over the internet or like with a sell sheet. So like even if you can make a great sell sheet, that doesn't mean you're selling the experience that is the game via the sell sheet. Like there's been so many sell sheets where I am just super excited about it and then I try it and I'm like, well, I had a completely different idea about what this game was. So yeah. But yeah, that whole sending a sell sheet to a publisher is not very reliable way of getting your game signed.
Got it. Yeah, a lot of people still kind of use that practice. What, from your perspective, like what kind of things are you looking for in this time since you're getting so many emails? Things are more pivoting online again too, so you're probably getting even more emails now. What are you looking for a new game or someone who might have an idea to present?
Well, one thing that I really care about, well, I'm talking as a small publisher. And as a small publisher, like there's a lot of designers out there, and there's a lot of designers that might not be as adult as you would like. And what I mean by that is like some people I would really love to work with, and some people I would not. So just differentiating yourself between like being like a nice, friendly person that can bring a lot to a project, that can help out way more than having like a super polished sell sheet or like having a fantastic game. Like if you have a fantastic game, but like you're terrible as a person, I don't really want to work with you. Like even if like I could like do a lot of like get a lot of money out of that game, like what this industry is, it's not just about money. Like it's about fun and community and like doing something you're super proud of. So I would rather work with a friend or like somebody that is super friendly and helpful than like work with somebody that just makes great games but is kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I completely agree about that. And luckily, we're able to kind of be in a position to choose who we get to work with. So it's really refreshing to hear too that you're again choosing people who are friendly and nice and just overall just a good person to work with, because we do want to kind of promote that in the community too. So thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And like it's relatively easy to actually reach out to most publishers this way. Like I mean, which publisher doesn't have like a Twitter or a Facebook or something like that where you can reach out to them? And I try to make it like even more easy because I have my own Discord, which I'm on there every day. And like I get to talk about game design with designers there. So over the course of like the last 6 months, like I've gotten to know a bunch of different designers like super well. Well enough that I've started co-designing with a few of them just because, you know, we were talking about like what our ideas were during a like random Wednesday chat, and it was just like, oh yeah, that person has a great idea, and I've been like having live chats with them for weeks. Let's just do a co-design and I'll probably end up publishing that game.
Amazing. And can you talk us through more about kind of the process of how you actually vet different games that kind of come across your table, and also how you decide, again, ultimately to work with someone or not. You mentioned, again, they should be a good person, first and foremost. Can you talk us through more about that process too?
A bit. It's changed over the years as I've learned more about like working with others and like how honest people can be. Like it's not that anyone is like straight up lying to you. But a lot of people don't like they're not comfortable with telling the truth, if that makes sense. And I'm not always the best person, like, or the easiest person to work with. I can work super well with some people, but like a lot of people just can't handle maybe the intensity that I work at because I tend to like iterate really fast and I have opinions and I want things like a very certain way. Um, Mainly because like Weird Giraffe Games and Galactic Raptor Games, they put out very specific games. Like they have a certain feel, they have a certain player count, they have like times on them. They always have a solo mode, like things like that. Like I'm putting out specific products, and based on like even a 5-minute meeting, I can kind of tell like if a designer can really deal with that. For instance, like if you are pitching a game to me and we're talking about it, I might ask like, oh yeah, like what if I themed this polar bears, or what if I did this? What if I took out this mechanic? What do you think? And just the whole like, how does the game designer react to that question? The best reactions are things like asking a question back, writing information down, like just knowing or like reacting in a way that this is a conversation that we're having. It's not like I don't want to be the person that's just, saying like the things every time and you're just like the yes man that's like just doing exactly what I say. Like I want a collaborative thing. So if they do things that show that they're willing to collaborate and hear your ideas, that goes a really long way.
Got it. Yeah. So collaboration definitely is key. Being not only just like a yes person, but being able to bounce ideas back and forth. So really put two brains together in like a synergistic way, pretty much.
Yeah, so like if I say something like, oh yeah, like I think this is unbalanced or something, if the designer is just like, oh yeah, it is unbalanced, I'll change that completely or take it out or whatever, like that's kind of a red flag. Like it's not the worst thing, but like it's much better to have the conversation than just like doing exactly what I say. Because like if you're just going to do exactly what I say, I might as well just work with me because it's not collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely talked a lot about kind of how you're finding different people, in your Discord, and how you're kind of vetting through different designers and different games. Can you talk to our listeners more about the process of launching that Kickstarter, working with a publisher, and what the process is kind of like in that sense?
Well, the process is a pretty long one. Well, unless you go with like a newer publisher, which like a lot of publishers, they have like long timelines out there. For instance, like Tumbletown, which got to Kickstarter in March, like I signed that 2 years ago. And the same thing with Degrees in Darkness, which I'm launching on Kickstarter in October. Like that contract has been signed for about 2 years. So it can be a very slow process, where you have to wait until the game is completely like solid and good. And then there's like a 2 to 3 month like build up period, as far as marketing and such goes, where you have to like really make sure that the prototype is ready. I tend to order one before the reviewer copies so I can play it and verify like nothing is wrong, and then I get all the reviewer copies. For reviewers, it really depends on the cost of the prototype, and kind of the length of time it takes. But also now there's a COVID factor, because like reviewers are people and they have lives, and their first priority is not your game. Actually, their first 10 priorities are not your game. So things happen. But trying to reach out and find reviewers that you think would be interested in your game and getting them the game with enough time. Like, if we weren't in COVID times, I would say like getting them like a month to play the game before the Kickstarter would be enough. But now it's more like they have to have the game for about 2 months, since it's so hard to actually get gaming groups together, well, and stress and whatnot. So identifying the reviewers, sending out the games, and then maintaining a relationship with the reviewers. I tend to send out weekly or every other week emails to make sure like everything is on track, like they know what they're doing. If they have any questions, they can ask them. If there's any questions that have been asked and other people ask them, I tend to send out the answers to all those, so that just in case they also misinterpreted a rule, like we get that cleared up before the review comes out. That's super important. And then all the interviews start typically. Like I try to get me and the designer to do a number of just interviews on the game or on a game design subject or anything like that. And I tend to like each time I go to Kickstarter, I try to do more reviews than the previous time, because I have like a list, and then I search for another couple interviewers just to add to that list every time, just in case like I know We're Not Wizards, like Richard is a fantastic person and I always go on his show every Kickstarter, but now he's on a hiatus. So it's important to keep like adding to that list of interviewers, just because people have lives and not everyone's going to be an interviewer for like 20 years.
Absolutely. So you talked through quite a bit of things that you and the game designer kind of work together to do in this whole entire process, right? In this process, what can designers do to help kind of contribute to this process for publishers like yourself? You know, like what do you kind of expect them to do? What kind of extra things can they create or offer for you, so that it makes it easy for you as a publisher to bring this game out to the market too?
I think it depends on the publisher and the designer's skill set. I don't usually have high expectations of designers, mainly because a lot of designers, I work with a lot of first-time designers, and they might not know what the process is or know a lot of people. But I always ask them, like, what they're willing to do. Like, are they willing to go on different, interviews? Are they willing to go out and play test this in their community? Are they willing to go to conventions and demo? Like, if you tell the publisher, like, what you're willing to do and just say, like, hey, I'm willing to do anything, let me know all the things I can do to help, I bet that publisher has, like, a list of things. For instance, I had Chris, who designed Degrees in Darkness. He did demos for the Punchboard Media Mixer, which was at Gen Con online-ish. But like doing online demos is still very much a thing. Like even if we can't go outside and meet with people, we can definitely like participate in online conventions and demo there, and just do things like stream the game. Like a lot of publishers now have Twitch. So if you as a designer went like, hey, I can stream me playing this game every day, do you want that? They'd probably be like, yes, please put something on my Twitch, because there's not something on my Twitch 24/7. So the more people like that can see the game, the better.
Got it. Okay. So it's, again, you were saying there's pretty much no one size fits all, and everyone kind of has something different that they can offer to help you and other publishers too in this whole entire process.
Yeah. Well, I also said that it depends on the person, because like, say that you are really good at graphic design and illustration, like that makes you like so much better. just because you can do things like help out by making ads or make the Kickstarter page or share the Kickstarter page around, like any like little things that can be done to help out like just a little bit are super helpful.
Got it. And when it comes to kind of the marketing process, there's all these demos, there's all these interviews, there's, streaming on Twitch and things like that. How are you kind of harnessing the information of people who are interested in the game? Do you have a separate kind of email list for everyone? Do you have like a group, a Discord channel? What do you kind of do with all the people interested in the game?
So I try to funnel people to certain things. Like I always have a mailing list for every game. So that you don't get a bunch of emails. Like if you are only interested in this game, you will only get information about this game up until it's ready for sale, and then they go into like the big mailing list, and you can opt out at that point if you don't want it. But yeah, just sharing around that mailing list, getting people at that one central area is really good. I also have a Facebook group for the people that use Facebook, where it's a open group that anyone can join, and you get notifications whenever I post in there, which is why groups are a lot better than pages. Like you still need a page just to like prove that you exist, but posting on a Facebook page isn't the same as in the group. And then I also have the Discord as well. And why I have those three ways is that the mailing list is super, like, if people have signed up for the mailing list, they get the emails, and it's great. But if you want, like, a little more, if you want, like, daily updates or, like, weekly updates or something like that, joining in either the Facebook group or the Discord is good. And I like to have both just because, well, like, a lot of people have Facebook, and Discord is kind of a new thing for board gamers. Like there's a lot of Discord's been popping up since COVID started, and there was like some before too, but not everyone is comfortable learning a new thing. So if you only had a Discord, that would be eliminating some people from seeing your marketing.
Got it. From all these channels, what do you think is kind of most effective for yourself as a publisher for each of the different games that you've been launching?
I would say the mailing list, definitely. Because a mailing list, you send an email and it gets into their queue, and it doesn't leave their queue until they decide to get rid of it. So that is number one where I get most of my backers from Kickstarter. But in getting people to the mailing list, I've gone to so many conventions and just meeting people one-on-one. And between that and my Twitter, I've put in a lot of work to make the Twitter really engaging and ask people a lot of questions. Like, it really helps. This will be actually the second Kickstarter I'll be doing with the Discord, and I'm not quite sure how that'll be or how that'll go, if that'll be super helpful or not. I think it'll be helpful in that a lot of people in the Discord, like, it's a community and we all know each other and talk to each other like every day. So that's where you get the people that are like your super fans. So hopefully like a number of those people will go out and post about the Kickstarter like several times during the Kickstarter and kind of have a multiplication effect, which you wouldn't get from other avenues.
Got it. Yeah, I love how you're kind of treating your super fans in a way, in a more intimate manner. You're kind of talking to them every day. There's like this other channel that, they can really just pick your brain and talk to you all the time and just form that relationship with you moving forward as you kind of launch different games, grow the publishing company. When it comes, and when it comes to kind of the middle part of the campaign, a lot of designers, publishers, they see that dip in backers, and they see that dip in funding before the last minute backers and funding comes in. From a publisher like standpoint, what are you looking for in this case, right, in terms of content, in terms of what you're doing to get the word out, and is there something that game designers can help in this particular middle area too?
Well, for the middle area, that's where interviews and such really come in, play a lot, because like an interview can go out and like people know that your game is on Kickstarter, so as many interviews as possible, but also doing things like live playthroughs, like going to a Facebook group for board games and just being like, here, like, look at me play this game live. Isn't it so fun? People love watching things live, and a lot of people have more time than they used to, as they're just at home instead of doing other things. So really getting to post in all those groups and engage people, especially if they can like keep it up. Like if you just go to a group and post a link and that's the first time you've ever interacted with anyone, that's not so helpful with the Facebook algorithm. But if you're like constantly like part of a group and you post in it every day, and instead of posting about something else, you're now posting about your game, that can definitely help out, and the Facebook algorithm will then share your thing a lot better than if you are just posting for the first or second time in a group and you post once every 6 months.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to kind of be, again, engaged so that you're able to kind of get more exposure in that way. When it comes to kind of game designers who are looking to work with publishers, do you have any final kind of tips or pointers or advice for people coming into this world?
Definitely try to have some sort of presence on social media, as that is a great way to meet people, and also it's a good selling point. Like if you have like, I don't know, 3,000 followers on Twitter, it shows that like, hey, you are a person that at least 3,000 people are willing to follow. So you can't be like that bad off. Well, it depends on the person, but in the board game community, it tends to say that you are somebody that other people would be willing to work with. Just be nice and friendly, and don't do things like have a blog where you talk about women or you talk about minorities in any way. Like that's not good as a person, but like history happens, and like you don't want that coming back and being the reason why like somebody doesn't publish your game. Because like I definitely know like there was one game I was about to sign, but then like the designer he attacked another woman content creator, and I was like, you know what, like if he's doing that, he probably won't get along with me, so no, I'm gonna pass on this one.
Yeah, no, that is definitely really good to hear. Like just don't be a bad person. and thank you so much for saying that on the podcast, because a lot of people just kind of need to understand that this community, it's a friendly community and it's welcoming, and we have to kind of protect that in a way too, with everything we do, each of our actions.
Mm-hmm. And like you can go like a step further and be like an actual friendly and helpful person in the community, by either like having a blog or a podcast, like doing something to help out others. I know when I started in the industry, what I did was I would just ask people if they needed their rules edited. And like I'd go on Twitter and I'd be like, hey, I have some free time tonight. Does anyone want me to proofread your rules? Like I'm not great at proofreading, but I can tell you where I get confused. And that's really like, well, it's so helpful to people, because like you can't really read your own rules and know what the confusing parts are. So doing that for somebody else is super helpful, and they're typically like really grateful for it, so they'll probably help you out back. But you can learn a lot from that, or just like participating in the groups, like giving feedback on other people's Kickstarter pages. I learned so much because I would go in the Kickstarter tabletop games group on Facebook, and whenever anyone would post their Kickstarter page, I would go on there and see like all the criticisms that other people had, and I would say like what things I liked or didn't like. And in the whole process of helping out somebody else, you are learning and bettering yourself.
Got it. Yeah, that's really, really great advice too. Like not only just being nice, but also offering some value of some way, and also learning from others so that you're bettering yourself and also helping others in the process. So thank you so much for your time today, Carla. If people want to get in touch with you, learn more about all these things that you're doing, or just kind of learn more about the games that you're publishing soon, where should they go? Where should they get in touch? Where can they find you?
So my website is weirdgiraffegames.com. I'm on Twitter, which is where I am mostly on social media, at Weird Giraffes. If you do want to attend the Discord and our playtesting nights or our game design live chats, that would be at weirdgiraffegames.com/Discord. We're definitely looking for more people and ideas, so you're all welcome to come. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as well. But yeah, and if you are interested in our next Kickstarter, you can get more information on that at weirdgiraffegames.com/degrees.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Board Game Marketing Podcast. For daily tips and advice, find us in the Board Game Marketing group on Facebook. See you next week.